The Pathfinder is in the garage. Got back from the Nissan dealership. We got ourselves a brand new OEM engine coolant temperature sensor assembled in the USA. Well, there it is, a little guy like that. Let's get the old one out. I rigged up a 19mm deep socket, a U-joint, and an extension. And this thing should spin right out. And then we're gonna have to fix this guy over here. See that hose? It's supposed to be attached. And it's pretty cool. I watched my own YouTube video from a couple years ago on the other Pathfinder, which had the exact same break in the hose. And the fix is pretty easy. You just take a bigger diameter hose and clamp it down to the existing plastic, manifold there and the existing hose. So hopefully that'll work for this one too. Well, let's get this coolant sensor out and proceed from there. The customer was extremely pleased to hear that I found the source of his drivability issue in something as simple as a coolant temperature sensor. Who would have guessed? It's back there, but it's coming out. And I don't know if we're going to lose any coolant or if it all puked out already. No, we're not losing any. Here it is. Here's the original unit. Let's put the new one in. A more elegant solution is to use a crow's foot socket and an extension. So that fits around the base of the sensor nicely, and kind of a one of those extensions that can pivot at an angle. So coolant sensor is in. We can plug it in, do the wiggle test, make sure the data's good, and fix this guy. Alright, we got our scanner booted up. Hopefully we won't get coolant showered this time. I didn't even review the video footage yet. It's probably going to be pretty epic. So I just want to look at the reported temperature on the gauge and do the wiggle test just like we did before to 100% verify this repair. So we just want ECT, list view, 51 degrees. Seems pretty reasonable. So I'm going to do the wiggle test. Perfect. No issues. Rock steady. Play with the connector. Awesome. Now, while we're here, let's just go ahead and clear the codes out. Make sure you don't have any codes. That's what we like to see. Now let's fix this guy. So we're gonna fix this guy quick and dirty. You will need a section of 1-inch inner diameter coolant hose and a couple hose clamps. That's it. So this part here, I took the clamp off, the spring clamp, and you want to keep the existing plastic piece in here for rigidity. Don't take that out. And then this guy you don't need to do anything with. We'll just slide the hose right over this existing lip and clamp everything down. I know it looks a little, ghetto, but the guy who I fixed the other Nissan for a couple years ago, still fine, driving around with it, no issues. So tried and proven. We're going to do the same thing on this Pathfinder. Alright, so once we have the first hose clamp on there, on the actual plastic tee, we'll take our hose cutters and cut this hose. Beautiful. Now we have the rubber, new rubber piece right here. It's ready to accept the original hose. Put on a hose clamp. Like so. Go in there, slide it on, and this guy will just, I guess you can lube it with some silicone or whatever, but we actually want some friction to hold it in. We'll just show it in there. Perfect. Now this hose clamp is going to sit right here and hold everything down. I find hose clamps turn a lot smoother if you just lubricate the screw with a touch of WD-40. You get a tighter grip. And there you go, nice flexible connection that's not going to go anywhere. That's all you need. 2 hose clamps and a 1-inch coolant hose. This nipple up here sometimes has a tendency to seep a little bit. I'm probably going to leave it alone for now, but you could put a regular style hose clamp on here too. This one seems sturdy enough, so let's refill this thing with coolant and fire it up. So it's bubbling away. The final step for bleeding is to actually remove this nipple right here and let all the air out of this top hose. So we can position that guy. See if I can do it with my fingers. Don't want to snap anything else. Oh, there it goes. Perfect. Done. And splash a little more in here. Five times more effective. Now the system Nissan uses here is that weird, actually, this is a pressure cap, and this is a pressure cap. I don't believe that's how it's designed. This is not original, I don't think, because on the other Nissan that we did, this was a regular cap, I mean, without the pressure spring, and the coolant reservoir is pressurized. So there should only be one pressure cap in this thing, but the only thing that really matters is the pressure stays in, you know, the radiator and engine side. The reservoir here, it can do whatever it wants. We don't really care. So that's getting there. And then inside the reservoir, it's hard to see the level. I mean, I'm sure it's low. This guy stopped bubbling here. Squeeze the hose. Looks pretty good. We're full over there. I'm going to top off this, top off the reservoir, we'll fire it up. Alright, let's fire this bad boy up. It's all loud. Got some exhaust leak problems. It's not here for that though. Go to our engine menu, data, customize that guy, and just select coolant temp. That's all we need. Make sure that is rising consistently and steady. Alright, so far so good. Up to 107. Take it for a spin around the block. It's raining and our driveway is literally a sheet of ice. Even in all-wheel drive, my wife today was spinning wheels. Let's see if the ABS works. Oh yeah, there it goes. Well, some gravel's peeking through, so it's not undrivable, but this morning with the freezing rain, it was really bad. Keep watching that, make sure it gets up to operating temp. This truck should be fixed. Alrighty, we're up to the happy spot, 188 on the scale, it's steady. Needle is steady. I think we should be good. We could look under the hood, make sure we have no coolant leaks. Man. Make sure there's no steam coming out anywhere. Alright, I'm happy. Truck is fixed. Coolant temp is rock steady, no glitches. Just in case, we can go back and do a final code scan, make sure there's nothing pending, like, you know, catalyst code or evap code or something. Just to make the customer aware, you know, not all monitors may have run. Idle control system RPM too high. Well, what are you gonna do about that? A relearn? What can we do here? I guess after a code reset, I did not like that. And also when the RPMs are going up and down, might have messed with the idle learn. And Nissan's is just finicky. Idle air volume learn. Form accel pedal release position learning. Make sure accelerator position for released. Turn ignition switch on, off, on, off. I don't know, I guess we could try it. So on, wait 2 seconds, turn off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On. 1, 2. Off. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Continue. Make sure for release, turn the ignition switch on. Turn the ignition switch off. Wait 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Confirm operating sound of throttle valve during 10 seconds. Oh man. Let's see here. Engine coolant temp, parker neutral, electric loads off. Parking brake, let you go off. Steering wheel, straight ahead position centered. Vehicle stopped. Warmed up. Yeah, we've driven it. Key on engine run. Alright, I mean that looks about right. Continue. Conditions are met. Key on engine run. Continue to start test. Wait for your test completed screen. Test completed. Finish running the procedure. Alright. So now it's down to like 600 RPM. I wonder if in the data it says, you know, desired idle and actual RPM. This is where you got to follow up. Make sure everything's fixed. That code wasn't there before, but then again the vehicle wasn't running right. So throttle closed, RPM, mass airflow, throttle sensor. It's dropping down to like 500 RPM now. I'm gonna rev it up a little bit. Put in gear. I don't know, looks about right. 600 RPM. Let's get out of here. See if it still has a code. Yep. So key off, key on, clear codes, yes. All right, continue. Start up. Key off. Key on. Turn on some accessories. Blower motor. I don't know, looks good. Take it for another spin, make sure that code doesn't come back. Alright, after another test drive, we're much more reasonable on the RPM. So 700, no codes present, awesome. Now this truck is fixed. It's never that easy with Nissans, right? So that's it, pretty easy diag. I don't know, coolant temperature sensor. Can fail in a pretty funky way. You can short the line out and say that your engine's overheating, and then the truck will just go into limp home mode. I mean, it's pretty important sensor as far as inputs go into the PCM. Hope you learned something new. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye-bye. Some bonus footage. Make sure you have no leaks. Absolutely no leaks. It's bone dry. All the spilled coolant steamed off. There's our new sensor. Looking shiny and dry. And that's it. Feel for pressure in the system. Good to go. A little more bonus footage. It's my policy whenever an unfamiliar vehicle comes in for anything is to at least look at the brakes, tires, and suspension, just in case. I noticed that the brake pedal was really spongy. It was like going to the floor. Why? Well, here's a potential reason. Got the lower control arm jacked up, just checking for loose ball joints. It's not a loose ball joint. This wheel is like almost ready to come off. So 3 and 9 and 6 and 12. That wheel bearing's completely shot. And when the wheel bearing's shot, it actually spreads the pads apart. And you can see how much room the brake fluid has to take up to squeeze that rotor. So nothing wrong with the brakes, but man, this wheel bearing is pretty loose. So I'm going to give the customer a quote on that. And yeah, it's just, you don't want a vehicle like this, well, see you later, and then the wheel falls off. That it's not very responsible and from a mechanic standpoint, I think. So see you next time.